Didn't take long. The quaint days of media love for Ron DeSantis are over. Remember last week when he would take down Donald Trump and just be a normal Republican? Well, not anymore. Just in time for the Thanksgiving table conversation. Beware. DeSantis is as much a threat to America as Trump. That's the headline from Jennifer Rubin, an opinion piece comparing DeSantis to a dictator over his parental rights bill, among other alleged transgressions. She writes in the Washington Post, DeSantis' contempt for dissent and his crackdown on critics should not be discounted. This is the profile of a constitutional ignoramus, a bully, and a strongman. Voters should be forewarned. In other words, the buzz about DeSantis just might be a media chainsaw. George Will's here, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, NewsNation senior political contributor. Good to see you as well. Is this why DeSantis is trying to put off the presidential talk as long as he possibly can?
Well, he's wise if he's trying to do that, because to the extent, and it's a very limited extent, that the media have been semi-demi-sympathetic to him, it's on the principle that my enemy's enemy is my friend. Donald Trump has anointed DeSantis enemy number one right now, and therefore the media rallies around DeSantis in the sense that they find him interesting and statesmanlike and all the rest. But the minute he becomes an actual Republican threatening to be the nominee, all that will change.
Is it possible in the current media world we live in to run pillar to post? And I ask that because you think about Scott Walker, Chris Christie, President Hillary Clinton in 2008, Jerry Brown, governor of California in 1992, who was the assured nominee, Jeb Bush in 2016.
You're leaving out in 1972, President Edmund Muskie, the senator from Maine, was the presumptive nominee. He didn't make it out of New Hampshire, for Pete's sake. And Scott Walker founded in Iowa. That's kind of
he didn't even make it to the caucus.
That's exactly right. So journalists are not for the first time, rather far out over their skis in this regard. Let's let people go around the track a few times, see if they have the talent. There is such a thing as a wine that won't travel, and a presidential aspirant who looks real good in his home turf, but not so good when he's on other turf. Let's just wait and see. Why the hurry to anoint someone?
Well, is the hurry to anoint someone one
means?
Because Jennifer Rubin needs somebody to write about, as do we all need somebody to talk about. He is the first person to ever be ahead of Donald Trump in the polls, ever. DeSantis in Iowa, New Hampshire, Florida, Georgia, all beats Trump. And then you think about it, that the media would love nothing more, to your point, or certain media, especially liberal columnists, than to wound and continue to kill by 1,000 cuts somebody who could then perhaps beat Donald Trump, be the nominee. And if he's been wounded for 718 days or 15 days at this point, it makes it easier for the Democrat to beat.
Jennifer Rubin and others like her who are in the grip of Trump derangement syndrome, who are Trump obsessives, who write constantly and hysterically about Trump as a threat to America's institutions bequeathed by Washington and Lincoln and all the rest, who are in a constant lather, they need another Trump. Because when Trump leaves, what are they going to think, talk about, and be frightened of? Therefore, I think there's a rush on the part of someone like Jennifer Rubin, who's a case study in Trump derangement syndrome, to preemptively anoint a second Trump so they can seamlessly go from being terrified of the real Trump to being terrified of a make-believe Trump.
How much does Democrats benefit from the fact that there is this uncertainty whether or not President Biden will win? Kamala Harris just said she will be on the ticket with Joe Biden if he runs in 2024. Who knows how she has come to that conclusion, but she has now declared it. How much do Democrats benefit from the fact that Republicans can fight amongst themselves and Democrats can have a shadow primary?
They benefit tremendously. That's why it looked suspicious, frankly, when Merrick Garland authorized the raid on Mar-a-Lago. That put Trump right back in the center of the American conversation, just as the autumn season of the midterms was beginning. Now we have Merrick Garland yet again coming up now with a special counsel, which is bound to keep Mr. Trump in the national conversation, front and center.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.